Have you ever wondered what truly shapes a leader? Is it merely circumstance, ambition, and political maneuvering? Or are there deeper, unseen forces at play? We often think we know the story of Vladimir Putin, the KGB agent who, through a series of calculated moves, rose to become one of the most powerful men in the world. But what if that's only the surface of a much more complex reality? What if his journey is not just a political saga, but a story written in the language of destiny, power, and hidden knowledge? Let's begin with the known facts. The solid ground upon which this towering figure was built. Born in Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, in 1952, Putin grew up in a communal apartment, a child of the post-war Soviet era. His early life was unremarkable, yet filled with a quiet intensity. He was drawn to the world of intelligence from a young age, inspired by spy films. He famously walked into the local KGB headquarters as a teenager, asking how to join. The advice he received was simple: get a law degree. He followed this path with unwavering focus, graduating from Leningrad State University in 1975 and immediately joining the KGB. For 16 years, he was a man in the shadows. His most notable foreign posting was in Dresden, East Germany. During the twilight years of the Soviet Union, official records paint a picture of a mid-level, diligent officer. But it's here that the official narrative begins to thin. Dresden was a provincial post, not a hub of espionage like Berlin. Yet, some suggest it was a crucial node for something else, a place where the KGB was experimenting with non-traditional methods of influence and control, perhaps even exploring the fringes of psychological and parapsychological research. When the Berlin Wall fell, Putin famously faced down a crowd of protesters at the KGB headquarters, a moment of personal crisis that forged his resolve. He saw the collapse of the Soviet Union not just as a geopolitical failure, but as a personal and catastrophic loss of order. Returning to a chaotic Russia, he entered the political sphere of his hometown, St. Petersburg, under the mentorship of Mayor Anatoly Sobchak. This was his political apprenticeship. He learned the art of governance in a city rife with crime and corruption. He was the Grey Cardinal, the indispensable deputy who made things happen behind the scenes. It was during this period that he honed his skills, building networks and demonstrating a formidable capacity for loyalty and ruthless efficiency. When Sobchak lost power, Putin's career could have ended. Instead, he was called to Moscow in 1996, a move that would change the course of history. His ascent in Moscow was meteoric. In just a few short years, he went from a minor administrative role to director of the FSB, the successor to the KGB, then Prime Minister, and finally on New Year's Eve 1999, acting president, handed the reins by a weary Boris Yeltsin. The official explanation is that the ruling elite, the family, saw him as a pliable successor who would protect their interests. He seemed unassuming, a technocrat who would maintain the status quo. They profoundly misjudged their man. Now, let's step away from the textbook history and venture into a more esoteric realm. To truly understand a figure like Putin, we must consider the symbolic and energetic landscape of his journey. Consider the very nature of his training as an intelligence officer. The KGB was more than just a spy agency. It was an order, a brotherhood with its own rituals, codes, and a deep understanding of human psychology. An agent is trained to operate on multiple levels of reality, to mask their true intentions, to manipulate perceptions, and to become a no-one in order to observe everything. This is a form of modern-day alchemy, transformation of the self into a tool of pure will and intention. Did this training dissolve the personal self, replacing it with a vessel for a larger national idea? Think about the archetypes at play. Putin's rise embodies the king from the shadows. He didn't emerge from the aristocracy or from a popular movement. He came from the state's hidden core, its intelligence, apparatista, systems, subconscious, if you will. This archetype carries a unique kind of power, one that is perceived as both legitimate because it arises from the state itself, yet mysterious because its origins are obscured. He is the guardian of secrets, the man who knows where the bodies are buried, both literally and figuratively. This grants him an aura of authority that traditional politicians lack. Let's also consider the concept of ego, a term from esoteric thought for a collective psychic entity created by a group of people. Nations, corporations, and even political ideologies have their own ego. The Soviet Union had a powerful, monolithic egregore that shattered in 1991, leaving a vacuum of belief and identity. Is it possible that Putin, consciously or unconsciously, became the focal point for the creation of a new Russian egregore, one built not on communist ideology, but on a blend of national pride, orthodox mysticism, historical grievance, and the promise of restored order and strength? His actions often seem aimed not just at political goals, but at feeding this national spirit, at healing the greatest geopolitical catastrophe of the century. He performs symbolic acts flying fighter jets, tracking tigers, descending in submarines that are less about policy and more about creating a modern myth. The myth of a strong leader resurrecting a great nation. This mystical interpretation isn't just fantasy. It's reflected in the philosophies of those who have influenced the Kremlin's ideology, like Alexander Dugin, who speaks of Eurasianism and a sacred view of history, in direct opposition to the linear, progressive model of the West. This isn't just politics. It's a civilizational and almost spiritual struggle. Putin's power, in this light, isn't just held through force and political control, but through his role as the high priest of this new national faith. He is the embodiment of Russia's perceived destiny. This brings us to the realm of open questions and hypotheses, the gray areas where history and mystery intersect. First, what really happened in Dresden? Was it simply a quiet post, or was it a laboratory of future methods of power? Some theories suggest that Putin was exposed to advanced techniques of psychological influence, or even that he was part of a faction within the KGB that was planning for a post-Soviet reality long before the wall fell. Was his rise a surprise, or the result of a long-term clandestine plan? Second, the question of his succession the official story is one of convenience and miscalculation by the old guard. But is that plausible? Or was there a more complex negotiation? A kind of Faustian bargain? Did a powerful faction, perhaps a coalition of security services and disillusioned oligarchs, orchestrate his placement? did they see in him not a puppet, but the only person with the discipline and ruthlessness to save the Russian state from complete collapse and foreign exploitation? His subsequent consolidation of power and sidelining of the very oligarchs who supposedly backed him suggests he was never anyone's pawn. And finally, the most profound hypothesis: is Putin acting alone? Or is he the instrument of a larger collective will? Is he simply a man with immense ambition? Or has he become a conduit for the deep-seated desires and fears of the Russian soul? When he speaks of historical justice and Russia's unique path, is it mere political rhetoric? Or does he genuinely believe he is fulfilling a historical mission, a destiny that was set in motion long before his birth? The line between the man and the myth has become so blurred that it is almost impossible to distinguish one from the other. He is no longer just a president. He has become a symbol, a living icon of Russia's defiant resurgence. So, we are left with on one side, the historical record, a diligent agent, a shrewd politician, a master of power politics. Inter the esoteric interpretation, an alchemical transformation, the embodiment of a national archetype, the high priest of a new civilizational and on the other side, the lingering, unanswered questions that challenge us to look deeper. The story of Vladimir Putin is not just a lesson in modern politics. It is a mirror reflecting our own understanding of power, destiny, and the hidden currents that shape our world. The truth, as always, likely lies somewhere in the fusion of all three perspectives. What do you think? Was his rise a calculated political masterpiece, a manifestation of unseen forces, or something else entirely? We invite you to explore these questions and share your own theories in the comments below. The story is far from over, and its understanding is a puzzle we must all piece together. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of power. If this exploration sparked your curiosity, please like this video, share it with others who enjoy thinking deeply, and subscribe to our channel for more content that challenges the conventional narrative. Until next time, keep questioning.